How are you? It's Oliver Fernandez with The Imperfect Entrepreneur, calling from live in Fort Lauderdale Beach. We're down here for New Year's. We're with the family. And as the end of the year comes, it's always a time of reflection. And it's like, what was that pivotal moment or that pivotal thing or that pivotal idea or thought process that got me thinking longer term, less transactionally, more transformationally, that helped me build what we currently are at today. And it popped in my head when I was traveling down here, and I want to share it with you. When I was $500,000 in the hole, and I was listening to those Les Brown videos, and he was talking about all that stuff, like, if you can look up, you can get up. And I was hurting. I was $500,000 in the hole, so I was like, okay, I can look up. Oh, you can get up, oh. It ain't over till I win. I was like, it ain't over till I win, until I win that one contract, until I win the next contract, till I win the next contract, till we paid off the debt, whatever it was. So it ain't over till I win. Now it's I shared this one in a previous podcast. Now we're looking to just have our team members saying that, like our team members saying, it ain't over till I win, Now we're duplicating that throughout the organization. So really excited about that. But the one thing that he said that got me thinking less transactionally about right here, right now, and start thinking long term and big picture, was he said, I don't need a good year. And as we're coming up to 2022, end of 2022, everybody's like, 2022 is gonna be my year. It's gonna be my year. I just sit back and laugh. And the reason why I laugh is because I'm not thinking about years. I need a good decade. Les said, I don't need another good year. I need a good decade, which means you got 10 years stacked on top of each other of productivity, of success, of momentum building. And that was the game changer for me. Because, think coming from, even just like, think about the school system as a whole, Every year you go to school for 1 year, right, 9 months, and you take your summer vacation. I was graduated, right, in the real world, trying to create success, and I was looking for my summer vacation. Like, that's the two don't go together, especially in the beginning. So I had to retrain my mind. I had to retrain my thought process, and hearing that planning for a decade instead of a year, that's the thing that changed everything. Because now I was looking to build a partnership. I mean, that's why I built my first partnership with my first partner. I was like looking to build something for a minimum of 10 years. I mean, I would have kept riding even longer, like but it just, unfortunately, our partnership didn't work out after 10 years because we both have to continue to grow, right? It's not just a one-way street where, one partner grows, another partner is still trying to do the same thing. So thinking in 10 years help transition my thought process. And I want to bring that to your attention here as we're getting into a new year. We're coming into the new year, and everybody's thinking about, I need that. This is going to be my year. Yes, we'll want this to be your year, but I also want it to be the start of your decade. This is your decade. This is a decade where you're going to put things together, where you're going to build something more than you're going to build something for the long term. And it helps focus you, right? Like, what am I going to focus on for the next 10 years? Like, I used to, when I would go and apply for jobs, I would always get the job, But then the hunt was over. Like, yes, I could rise the ranks at that organization, all those things. But, like, for me, it wasn't a 10-year thing. It was always like a right here, right now thing. Because I always had, I had my mom and sisters. That was my wiring. I need to get money right now to be able to take care of them. But when you start thinking about things in 10 years, that's where things can transform. I mean, honestly, we've done over $100 million worth of contracts over the last 10 years. You know how hard it was to get the first $500,000 one? I thought it was next to impossible when we first hit that one. And then once we started building momentum with it, you started getting a rhythm with it. Now it's like building momentum and getting rhythm on other areas of the business. And then it's like, next thing you know, look back 10 years and I'm like, holy cow, this is what we built. We built something that had done over $100 million worth of contracts. Didn't happen in a year. So that for those my people who are saying, I just need a good year, I need a good year. Like, what's a good year if you're on top, but the next year you've fallen back down. You're back to where you were. And that's another thought process that shifted for me. It's like continuous success, consistent success. I when I grew up, like I told you the stories, my dad, made money, lost money, made money, lost money. Was a millionaire one day, was broke the next. Was a millionaire one year, was broke the next year. Was a millionaire for 2 years, was broke the next year. Like, that's a roller coaster ride. I hated that when I was a kid growing up. Why would I want to do that to my family? Why would I want to do that to my wife? Why would I want to do that to my kids? So I had to create this consistent, persistent attitude in me that I was going to be able to not only get the success today, but to get the success tomorrow and get the success the next year. Even when we're, coming up on challenges, like continuing to get the success. And that's what it's about. It's about building success on multiple things. It's about building success on multiple years. And it's it's that continued effort, continued focus on that target. And the target's got to be big enough. The vision has to be big enough. Where you're going, the people you're with has to be big enough. If not, it's like that's why you got that 1 year goal, because your goal wasn't big enough. Your goal wasn't big enough, so that's why you're only setting it at a 1 year target, and then you burn out after a year, or you forget about it after a year. You're not interested in it in a year. Like, no, let's find something we can be interested in for 10 years, and if you don't like it, find a way to love it, right? Like that's one of the things too, is you got to find a way to love it. You get 10 years of something successful, and then build it the right way and then sell it. The next thing you know, you have a cash out, do a huge cash out, sell the asset, and move on to something that you do love at that point. But to build something big, it takes time. It takes building on something year after year after year. It's all these things that are flashed in the pan, built overnight. Like, look at some of the stuff that's going on with Bitcoin. And I'm not even I don't really understand a lot about that stuff, so I'm not going to say much about it. But I do know, like, my real estate guys, they're going through some pain, but they're still in the game. Like, some of these Bitcoin guys, they've tapped out. They're out. Bankruptcy, all that stuff, craziness. So it's building something like consistent, and like for me, it's like for the next 10 years for me, it's like, how do we build something with so many people? Like, before, I built something with people, but it was so transactional. I was thinking about that as well. It's like, I was building, and I came from nothing, so my mindset wasn't really there. Like, I knew what I wanted to create, but I didn't know how to create it so that we could all partake in it. And there was those challenges where you're thinking, like, okay, how do I cut people in, but also you gotta know how to hold them accountable when you do cut them in, right? Or next thing you know, you're doing all the work, but now all of a sudden they're sharing in all the spoils, right? So it's understanding how to hold people accountable, understanding how to have discipline in the business. So you're not just growing to grow, you're not just growing to continue to expand, and you're not really profitable. Like, who wants to do that? That's how businesses go out of business, right? Because they haven't figured out a way to become profitable fast enough. So I'm just excited about the new year. I'm thinking about who I'm building with now, I've seen my mentor, and I'm like, oh man, how did he go over there in Cardinal Ventures, and he like blew that thing up and so quickly. Like, when I mean quickly, it's 3 years, right? Like, it hasn't been overnight, but this is not his first business that he's built either, right? So and that's the cool thing, is that most of the people that have come into that business and are the leaders in that business have been with them for multiple years, 5, 6, 7, 8 years. I'm like, man, I can't wait I have a team, not just like, one person or my partner, right? And I remember the rhythm that we got into. Now I'm excited to see the rhythm that I get into with my team, right? I've been building with my finance guy for the last 2.5 years, and we've created some awesome things in the organization, and I can't wait to continue to build on the things that we've created. Now, estimator, we've been building for 2 years. Now I got guys in, like a director of field construction, and then I got a really strong person in the office for project management. And I'm like, man, wait till we get to a point where we've built with these people for 5 years. And then now my team also has people underneath them, right? We're starting to build people underneath them, and now they create consistencies and that superpower inside of their own units with their own teams. And I'm like, man, wait to watch what we create next. That's going to be the fun thing. That's going to be the thing that's going to be the game changer. Even just shooting these podcasts, right? I started off shooting these podcasts, and I was so scared to even get in front of the camera to speak. You know, I didn't know what to say. But by continuing to show up, and eventually you find something to say. You find a way to be engaging, right? I ran out of ways of not being engaging, and I started finding ways to be engaging, right? It's getting a little dark over here. I'm gonna kind of show you guys the view. Like, this is sick. Like, we're here at the Four Seasons. There's the ocean. Here with the family. That's the Conrad over there. We're at the Four Seasons. But it's just finding a way to be engaging, right? Like, just continuing to double down and get better. It hasn't been perfect, right? But I just continue to show up time after time after time, day after day after day, and building with people like my guy Scotty, my marketing guy. He's shown up for me time and time again. You know, I tell him, Scotty, there's never a Friday that I'm excited about shooting, but I still shoot because you're here, and I'm accountable to you, right? I'm accountable to create content that's engaging, so that your targets are aligned to the results of the YouTube channel, of the podcast, of the content that we're creating. So if I'm not showing up the best version of myself, then I'm letting you down. And again, like I tell you, when that's the leverage point for me, is I'm not saying I'm gonna let me down, but if I start adding people to the list, I'm gonna let down. Like, I'm showing up, I'm there, I'm rock solid. And I'm there for myself too. Like, don't take that the wrong way, because I will show up for, you know what I mean? One of my guy, Les Brown, he said go after 10 years, right? But he also said, no one's gonna love you like you. And that's true. Like, no one's gonna love Oliver like Oliver, and no one's gonna love you like you. So you gotta keep learning and growing. And like, I've had people give up on me. The first job that I ever had, worked at Skanska, a huge multi-billion-dollar national construction company. Got laid off. I went to a trip to visit my wife, well, my now wife, she was my girlfriend at the time, in London. I come back and I hop in the office, and I sit down, and then all of a sudden the head guy comes in, and he talked to me one time since I was employed. And he came in the room, and he's like, hey, Oliver, just wanted to let you know, we're gonna lay you off. And, you know, me, I'm like, so what do? I show up tomorrow? No, dude, when they lay you off, man, that means you're done. Like, you go home, and like, they've given up on you, basically. And that's okay, right? Because I didn't give up on me. You know what I mean? I kept growing, I kept working, I kept making things, sharpening my skill set. And as I continue to sharpen my skill set, those same people that laid me off are now reaching out to me, sending me their resume, looking for jobs. You know? So let's start thinking in 10 years. You know what I mean? Not just this is my year, right? This is my decade. So let's start saying that. This is going to be my decade. 2022 to 2032, right? It's my decade. And watch what you create. I promise you will create something so big. Because when you start thinking in 10 years, it's like you're stacking them and stacking them and stacking them and stacking them. Stacking success on stacking success. You get the eighth wonder of the world. What's it called? Einstein always talks about it. The eighth wonder of the world. Compound interest, right? Compound interest starts now compounding for you instead of against you. You know, when you're paying that 18, 20, 25% on the credit card, and the next thing you know, you think you have something that's, you know, a $10,000 bill, and then within a couple months it's $20,000. It just keeps spiraling out of control, and its interest is nuts. Well, that same compound interest, the eighth wonder of the world, can happen for you with your life if you start building and consistently put stacking and stacking and stacking success, stacking opportunities, and stacking good people around you, and stacking all of those things. and I'm looking to continue to do that with you in 2023. So let's go out there and continue to build your legacy. Let's roll. I'm trying to get a good view of my face. Oh, there you go. Let's roll. Let's have a great Happy New Year, and let's have a great year, and let's have a great decade.